This is Ian Cameron for Sportsbook Review with your NHL Early Lines report for the games taking place on Tuesday, October 25th. As always, it's a very busy slate coming up on Tuesday, so let's get right down to it. Let's start with looking at the Tampa Bay Lightning, Toronto Maple Leafs, Atlantic Division battle, and the Toronto Maple Leafs will be looking to find a way to close out a game this time around. That's been a major issue for this young Leaf team so far this season. They've had leads in all of their previous road games this season against Ottawa, Winnipeg, and Minnesota, and Saturday night again against the Chicago Blackhawks. Not able to hold down the lead in any of those games. Definitely a concern for this team, but you would expect that with such a young group like what the Leafs have. Lots of rookies, lots of first-year NHL players, and obviously one of the first things that a lot of these players have to learn is the ability to basically close out a game and protect a lead, particularly on the road, and that is something the Toronto Maple Leafs are still attempting to figure out. We'll see if a return home can correct those issues for this team. We know they can flat out score. I mean, their offense and their skill and their speed has been very fun to watch so far this season, but all about defending, and also whether Frederik Andersen maybe can finally start to settle in as the goaltender for this Leafs team. On the flip side, Tampa Bay off to a pretty strong start so far this season, a very good start, in fact 4-1. Their only loss to Colorado at home, bounced back with a 4-1 win against Ottawa in the first game of this current road trip that they're on. Definitely good signs for them. Their big guns have been pretty good so far this season when you look at the likes of Valtteri Filppula, Alex Killorn, and Steven Stamkos with 5 points, Jonathan Drouin, Andre Palat with 4 points, Kucherov has 3 points for this team. So all of their big guns are contributing for this Tampa Bay team, and it's going to be a challenge for this Toronto defense to see if they can finally make the stand when they have to and try to get a victory. I would lean over the total. Toronto has been an over team. It is worth noting, though, their one home game was against Boston. They won that game 4-1, and it was by far their best defensive performance of the season. Maybe coming back to home ice will make them settle in and play better at the defensive end. I actually do give a little lean here to Toronto as a home underdog at plus 120 in this game. I think we see a pretty strong effort from them, a focused effort, coming off 3 straight road games in a row: Chicago, Minnesota, Winnipeg. They could have won all 3 games and could not protect a lead in any of them. I think maybe we see a little bit of an added focus for Toronto. So if they hang around and maybe pull off an upset here, it wouldn't be a big shock to me, even though Tampa Bay is obviously the much more heralded hockey team. Winnipeg, Dallas, the next game on our Tuesday look ahead. Jets and Stars. Stars are a very, very, very banged up hockey team right now. There is absolutely no denying that right now. The injury list that you see with this Dallas team definitely has to concern anyone. And we saw the effects of it in their last 2 games, really, against LA, but specifically against Columbus. Big favorite in that game. Columbus losing that game, or the Stars losing that game to the Jackets 3-0 at home. And it really goes to show that when you have the amount of injuries that the Dallas Stars have, hard to overcome them. I mean, Jason Spezza is banged up, Patrick Eaves is banged up, Ales Hemsky's banged up, Cody Eakin's out, Yuri Hudler's out, Patrick Sharp's on IR, Matthias Janmark out for a long period of time. So it's just an absolute litany of injuries right now for Lindy Ruff's team early in the season that they're going to have to overcome, and I don't want to lay this price with them. Winnipeg, on the other hand, it's been a really rough stretch for them. They've lost 3 of their last 4 to Minnesota, Boston, and Edmonton. They lose the Heritage Classic, get shut out in that outdoor game at Investors Group Field on Sunday. They also had that come-from-behind overtime win against Toronto. In fact, the 2 victories Winnipeg have had, they had to come from behind and win those games. So they could easily be a winless hockey team right now. It's been a rough go for them. That being said, off of a couple of losses in a row, or off that just the Edmonton loss in the Heritage Classic, I would expect Winnipeg to bring a much better effort here to the table. And I think Dallas is vulnerable right now. I really believe that with all these injuries. We're going to come back to this game when it comes to play of the day for Tuesday night in the NHL. We've got Ottawa and Vancouver, all Canadian matchup taking place. Now, how good is Vancouver is the question. We talked about it on the Saturday video in terms of this Canuck team. They had gotten off to a strong 4-0 start, but all of those games were at home, and you could argue some of those were against not the greatest of competition. You beat the likes of Carolina, who's struggling, Calgary, who's struggling, Buffalo, who's still got a long way to go in their rebuild. Their one quality win was against St. Louis in overtime, so you just had that question mark. Is this Canuck 4-0 start a little bit of an aberration, or is this a sign that maybe the betting markets that this team is going to be maybe a little bit better than the betting markets thought they would? That's going to end up being the question in the end. But to me, the way I see it with this Vancouver team is I don't think they're as good as they were at 4-0. Are they as bad as they've been the last two games? They lose 4-3 in a shootout to LA. They lose 4-2 against Anaheim, but they got outshot badly in both games. They gave up 31 and 37 shots in those two games. They're scoring goals. I mean, the Sedin line with Louis Eriksson has been very, very good for this team. They're firing on all cylinders, but secondary scoring, a little bit of a sore spot for Vancouver. And obviously, we've seen their lack of secondary scoring sometimes hurt them to this point in the campaign. Ottawa, on the other hand, like I've said, it's been a growing pain type of start for them. They're still trying to learn Guy Boucher's system. You know, they've gotten off to a decent 3-2 start, but they're coming off a 4-1 home loss to Tampa Bay. But now, this Ottawa team going out west, Western Canadian road trip starting here in Vancouver. Usually that first game of a road trip provides some sort of, focus, intensity. Every team that goes on one of these road trips, they want to start off the road trip in the right on the right foot. And for that reason, I would probably lean a little bit to the Ottawa Senators here, plus price, about 105, plus 100, plus 105 in that game. Anaheim, San Jose, great spot for San Jose. I don't think they're going to be a pissed off hockey team, I think, coming into this game. They did not end the road trip, the Eastern road trip that they just completed very well at all. There were some very ugly performances from the San Jose Sharks to wrap up that road trip. They lose to Pittsburgh 3-2. They lose to Detroit 3-0. Games that they could have won. And the Detroit game in particular, they looked a little fatigued, a little tired at the end of that 5-game road trip that they went on that went through Columbus, the New York Rangers, the New York Islanders, Detroit, Pittsburgh, and Detroit. So the one thing that does concern me about San Jose, and I've noticed this over the years, their play and their performance in these first game home off a long road trip type of spot, it's been a problem for San Jose. That being said, I'm not backing Anaheim here because I do think San Jose is going to be fired up. It's a question of whether they have the energy, but I would not be looking to fade San Jose in this spot. Even though I've made some money against San Jose in these spots in the past, I still don't know if I'm fully on board with Anaheim. Anaheim, to me, has not really played great hockey. They have won 2 in a row, but against Philly and Vancouver, not the greatest of competition. Still got injuries to deal with. Ricard Raquel out. Obviously, Hampus Lindholm on defense is still holding out for a new contract. Would you get into camp? Would you get on the ice already? I mean, who is Hampus? Hampus Lindholm's a solid defenseman, but give me a break. You're not that good that you should be holding out this long. Get your ass into the duck training. Get back on the team and get on the ice, because to me it's ludicrous that it's taken this long and he's still holding out looking for the money he's hoping for from the Anaheim Ducks. I think it's ridiculous. I think he's a solid defenseman, but geez, he's acting like he's the second coming of Nick Lidstrom, for crying out loud. I mean, get on the team. Enough it already. Holy goodness. Anyway, if I had to bet this one, I would look to San Jose, but I'm not laying that price with them. Even though they're going to be motivated and upset, they're still in the first game home off a long road trip. That's a tricky spot, and not one where I'm interested in laying north of minus 150. Columbus, LA. I mean, we've talked about the LA Kings goaltending, and I know they survived with a win against Vancouver Saturday night, but again, the goaltending was not great again from Peter Budaj, and I don't care if it's Peter Budaj. Well, it won't be Jeff Zatkoff because he's injured, but Peter Budaj or whoever else they throw in there for the injured Jonathan Quick, I don't trust their goaltending when they're being asked to lay minus 155, minus 160. Sorry, I'm not endorsing LA at this price tag against anybody with their goaltending right now. They have to play letter-perfect hockey to win. They escaped with victories against Dallas and Vancouver, even though they outplayed both of those teams. Sorry, I'm not backing LA. That's all there is to it right now. They are starting to get some goal scoring, though. Tanner Pearson's return has really boosted this team offensively. That's good news. And I'm not sure I trust Columbus to win another game. I mean, Columbus has won 2 in a row against Chicago and Dallas, but they took advantage of an injury-riddled Stars team, which we just talked about. Columbus hasn't had many 3-game winning streaks over the years, and I don't know if I trust them to get another one here. That being said, if I did bet this game from a side perspective, I'd look toward Columbus at the plus price around plus 135 in this game, plus 140. Also lean over the total. Like I say, LA's playing some overs now. Their goaltending's not as good. Tanner Pearson improves this team offensively. Kopitar's starting to make some noise as well for this team in terms of offensive production. So over the total in Columbus, the ways I'd lean in that game. All right, let's wrap it up. It's play of the day time for Tuesday, October 25th. We're going back to Winnipeg, Dallas. I think as long as Dallas is laying minus 160 to minus 165, prices like this, they're a vulnerable hockey team with all the injuries that have piled up against them, and I think Winnipeg's got a shot to steal a victory here, and I think they'll be motivated to do so coming off that ugly shutout in that outdoor game in Winnipeg on Sunday. So let's take a shot here with a big, nice plus price dog. Let's look at the Winnipeg Jets, plus 140. Against the Dallas Stars. That's rotation number 65. Winnipeg Jets plus 140. Jets, woo, woo, woo. Jets, woo, woo, woo. Let's see if they can get the victory in Big D. Winnipeg plus 140. Play of the day for Tuesday in the NHL.
Go to SBRodds.com. Browse, compare, and shop live odds available at top online sportsbooks.